This week, Shaun Michael Noah discusses his trips to Tokyo Disneyland and how it compares to Walt Disney World. Coming up next, from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Dis Unplugged. This is the Dis Unplugged, episode 724 for the week of July 22nd, 2014. The Dis Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show, coming to you live from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Jenny Lynn Knopp, sitting in for Pete Werner this week. I'm joined at the table by my very good friends Julie Martin, Kathy Whirling, Shaun Michael Noah, and special guest Disney artist Kevin John. And then, of course, back in the production nook, we have our associate producers, Craig Williams and Sean Thompson. This week we have a very special segment for you featuring our newest addition, Shaun Michael, who has been to Tokyo Disneyland, something not very many of us get to do. And he's going to be sharing with us his experiences there and then how it also compares to Walt Disney World, because those are questions that all of us have. You know, is it worth the trip out there? Or is it just a carbon copy? But before we get into all of that, why don't you just give us a little bit of a synopsis of who you are, where you're coming from, the background.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, obviously, I can't explain why I know so much about Tokyo Disneyland or Tokyo DisneySea, which I really love and hope to cover more of in the segment without giving more information about myself. My name is Shaun. If you guys already have been watching the show for a bit, I also go by Mochaccino on the show. I have lived in Japan for about 11 years. So from the age of 4 to 15, I spent at least one trip a year to Tokyo Disneyland or Tokyo DisneySea, and I mean, it was almost like tradition. It is we do it every year at least once, and I think I remember one time we went 3 times in the same summer because we had this really good deal. Now, I lived on a military base called Camp Zama, Japan, and if anyone there knows where that is, awesome. I am actually wearing a shirt that I got there. It says Japan right here. I'm just really nerdy right now. I'm so excited. I'm really excited to talk about this. And so what we got, there were military discounted tickets through MWR, which is the Morale, Wellness, and Recreation that most of the military bases have. And so we would go on these bus trips all the way down to Tokyo Disneyland, get there really early in the morning, park opening, go there, and then come back really late at night. Yeah, basically until park closing, because it was such a wonderful time. We would always have a great time at both of these places.
How far was it from where you lived?
It would be approximately, depending on traffic, because driving in Japan versus like taking a train is 2 totally different things. So you could say it would be about an hour if you had great traffic. I would say maybe more 2 or 3 because everyone's heading down over there.
Okay.
So it really depends on the time of day and when you go. But if you were going to go to either of the parks, I would highly suggest you take the train. Train lines go up and down Japan, interweaving throughout most of the country. So you can get almost anywhere via train ticket. And that's actually how a lot of people transport themselves to work or to play anywhere. They don't own cars. They own bicycles and a thing called a Passmo or a Suica, which are these 2 different types of payment methods for the train station.
Are these trains as we know trains, or are they like bullet trains?
Is it the bullet train?
Fancy trains?
Like sing about on Disney Junior?
I know. Choo Choo Soul, right? Is that where you were going with that? That is exactly where I was going with that. Is it the bullet train that Genevieve sings about?
Well, they do have bullet trains, and those are specific rail lines or specific trains. I could go hours on, I won't, on the different train lines in Japan, but it's very efficient. And it's so efficient that I've heard some places, some businesses that are very strict on their timing and policies. If a train is late or if a train is delayed for whatever reason, that they will hand out special tickets notifying the employer that I was late because of the train.
Oh,
Please
wow.
do not, fire me or whatever. But that's not that's not usually the case. They're usually very efficient. So I would highly suggest if you ever were going to go to Tokyo DisneySea, I have the name of the station right here. It's the Maihama Station. So if you ever go there, Maihama, that's the train station that you want to stop at to get to either of the parks.
Or you could ride a bike.
Oh, you could ride a bike. Might be a while.
I think I want to take the bullet train.
It's actually, so to have a driver's license in Japan, it costs about $2,000 because you are trained to be a good driver. You have to be a good driver. So it's very expensive, and usually most families only have one car or not a car at all in order to drive. So the train system is definitely one of the best. If you're not going to stay at one of the Disney resorts there, definitely do that. But for me, I had a bus. So thank you, bus drivers, whoever carted me from so early in the morning to so late at night. Actually, I remember having so much fun one day. I would rest my head in the bus and then instantly wake up back on the base because I was just so tired. So thank you, bus driver, for carting me around.
Well, obviously you've been to these parks quite a bit. This is a very big part of your childhood.
Oh, yeah.
Know quite a bit about it. So why don't you tell us, probably the pressing question on everyone's mind, is it actually a distinct part, or is this just a piece of America plopped in Japan?
Yes and no. There's actually a guy asked me last week. His name is Mike. So hi, Mike, if you're listening. Shout out to you. He really wanted to know comparisons and contrasts of the two parks of, Magic Kingdom and what they have there. And so, honestly, there's so much little differences. I can't go over all of them without running too late, but I would love to talk about some of the major ones. First things first, those plastic tickets that we have, they're really nice. They're really colorful, green, with all the Disney characters on it.
Like little credit cards.
Yeah, little credit cards. And so now what Japan does, they have something very similar. But what I love about it is that they've only been doing this for the past couple years. They have these themed tickets based on like what season you're in. So like they have special design tickets for like Halloween parties, or like if there's a ride opening, they have it printed on the ticket. And I thought, what a great idea. So that way when you go visit, you have this specific memory of that trip to Tokyo Disneyland or Tokyo DisneySea. And that's one of the big things. You walk into the park and there's no train in front. Like how we have the railroad that goes right in front, and that's kind of like the curtain.
So right off the bat, the layout is different.
The layout is very different. Most of the lands are actually the same. I'll go into that later, but slight differences. But you walk in and there's these flowers and bushes and everything like that, and it's very well kind of like a garden almost. And you walk up, we were greeted by so many different characters, and that's a great photo opportunity right there. And I don't know, do a lot of characters come out to the front of the park very often here?
Not where you can touch them.
No? Okay.
I mean, like, maybe in the little morning show, you might see Mickey up above the train station, but not
never
like down with the people.
To meet with everyone?
Not
down
anymore,
with
no. Used to be.
Well, we would always be greeted by at least one character, if not several, that would just walk around signing autographs. And so that's a great opportunity right there. You walk in, and our version of Main Street, it's very big and open, lots of air, open air, 20th century style. You kind of get the same feeling and vibe from what they have. Their Main Street USA is not Main Street USA. It's actually called World Bazaar. And what's unique about this street is that it actually has this glass roof over on top.
Cool.
And I always loved it whenever it was raining, because Japan's got some very temperamental weather, so having that, it was very nice to be able to get out of the rain at certain points.
Is it a glass dome where you can see the actual sky?
Yeah, you can actually look
like
up
in the mall,
yes.
like the sky and the skylights in the mall.
Yes.
Wow.
I will say I remember it got pretty loud because all the voices and all the sounds would echo off of the roof and come back down. But I mean,
so it's like the Truman Show?
I love that movie, and yes, I guess if you really want to say it like that. But that was just for the World Bazaar. Another interesting thing about the World Bazaar is that Main Street USA is this long, grand, almost entryway of welcome to the park, starting to get in character, right? You start leaving this world and entering into a new one, which is, a great and wonderful idea. This World Bazaar actually has a four-way intersection, and you can either go left into Adventureland or you can go right into Tomorrowland. You don't have to go into the center where the castle is in order to go to your whichever land you want to. So that's a very interesting, unique style. I thought that was really interesting.
Do you feel like that's a more convenient layout than the one that we have here in the Magic Kingdom, which is more like a wheel with spokes?
Yes, I actually think it's a great idea. One, it's easier for traffic flow because some people want to go to one specific spot. So I think it helps alleviate that, especially for me, because what we would do every time when we went, we would always go to my favorite ride first, Star Tours. That was my absolute favorite ride at Tokyo Disneyland. And so we would get in, go through the middle, if we stopped to say hi to characters or get food or whatever, get souvenirs, go right and head straight to Star Tours.
That actually leads to an interesting segue as far as rides, lands. How are they the same? How are they different?
I have a list right here of all the different lands that they actually do have. So, Adventureland, Tomorrowland and Fantasyland obviously are there. But what they did is Frontierland, they don't call it Frontierland. It's actually called Westernland. Yes, so I don't know if that's just a choice that the company made to appeal more to Japanese audiences of, Western, yeah. Please feel free to laugh, okay? I make a lot of stupid jokes. And they even have a small corner called Critter Country, which is where Splash Mountain is, and you can find some very specific restaurants down there themed after more critter-like, small possums or stuff like that. Another thing that they have still over there is Toontown. And I'm glad that they still have that because I would be very sad. I'm actually kind of disappointed at the circus thing. I probably shouldn't talk about it, but I love
entitled
Toontown.
to your opinion.
I'm entitled? Okay, all right. I love Toontown. That was one of my favorite places to go. We would always go there around nighttime, and I remember going up on Donald Duck's ship, and there's like a little periscope that you could look at, and I would look all the way around. So it's really this whole episode is going to be about nostalgia for me, so bear with me here. I guess one of the other things is that a lot of the rides, we have a lot of the same rides over here and over there, except for they have kept some of the old ones, like Snow White. I can't remember the name of the Snow White ride. Scary Adventure.
Snow White.
Pinocchio, that's still over there. Also, things like, for example, Star Tours is over in Tomorrowland. Also with Captain EO, which we have here at Epcot, is actually part of Tomorrowland in Japan. And I remember there used to be like this really nice fountain in front of it that would kind of bring you into the attraction. Also, getting out of Star Tours, everything seemed so much bigger over there. And I don't know if it's because I was a kid and that's just what I remember, but everything seemed so grand. I remembered after you get off of the Star Tours ride, you usually have to go up and over on this bridge to get out. And so you would exit over on the other side of the main walkway. And so I just remember having that kind of view from up top is definitely a different perspective that not a lot of people get to have unless they're on one of the rides like, Mine Train, I guess I'll say Big Thunder Mountain, stuff like that. Space Mountain. I know I've talked about it in the past many times. My mom would be like our pseudo fast pass where we would go into Star Tours and then she would wait in line for Space Mountain. And so after we're done with the ride, we just go up. There's actually an escalator that takes you up to the front of Space Mountain. And I thought that was standard. I thought that was normal. So when I came over here, I thought that was really weird not having it there. Same thing for Star Tours when I got here because I've only been to Magic Kingdom once. I don't really remember it that much. But when they didn't have Star Tours there, I was like, wait, Hollywood Studios? Why is it in Hollywood Studios? That doesn't make any sense. And here we have the Stitch ride, we have the Laugh Floor, which are unique to us. They don't have that there. That's something that we can share. And the People Mover, obviously. Carousel of Progress, that's definitely unique.
So this is more like Disneyland, where you have like Star Tours and like here we have it in separate parks.
Right.
Over there, it's sort of like Disneyland where it's all in one park.
Exactly. If you want to, you can even imagine that Tokyo Disneyland is kind of a convergence of Magic Kingdom and Disneyland in a weird way. One of the biggest things is when you walk into the dead center, Cinderella's castle is right there. So we have Cinderella's Castle. Tokyo Disneyland has Cinderella's Castle. And, California, we have Sleeping Beauty's castle as well everywhere else.
So it sounds like Tokyo has a lot of the main headliner attractions that we have here over there as well. But what are some of the things that they have that maybe we don't have that are distinct to those parks?
Well, I'm glad you asked. If you want me to talk about DisneySea at the same time or at...
Well, if we're going to do that, then how about we talk about what is the distinction between Tokyo Disneyland and Disneyland Sea?
Okay, well, I guess we'll save that part for later. I'll talk about Tokyo Disneyland right now. They have an attraction called Monsters, Inc. Ride and Go Seek. Totally unique. Basically, I was talking to you earlier about this. Mm-hmm. You sit down in this car and you're traveling around through the story of Monsters Incorporated, but every person in the car has a flashlight. And you know the blue helmets that the workers wear? Mm-hmm. They're just scattered throughout the ride, and when you point your flashlight on the helmet, it'll light up and something will happen on the ride. Oh. So it's a fun, interactive game. Yeah. Totally unique. I've never seen something like that before. I'm pretty sure Mike Wazowski gets shocked like 3 times throughout the ride, so it's really funny. And so that, another thing I definitely want to touch on is these rides, even though most of them are going to be in Japanese, a lot of the shows will have at least some form of English in there. So the instructions, how here in America we have, please remain seated, and then por favor, mantengan la, over there, it would be Japanese first, and then they would switch it to English in the second one. So they usually, if you're a foreigner and if you speak English and you go to Tokyo Disneyland, don't worry about that. Language barrier is actually not that big of a deal because a lot of the Japanese culture or the people know at least some form of English.
So what you're saying is there's still no excuse for not keeping your hands inside the boat.
No, absolutely. Keep those
fingers. You should
fingers.
still be able to understand the warning.
Exactly. So
do they have a pirates over there?
They do. They do. They do. In fact, actually, let's see. Yep. They still have Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, Swiss Family Treehouse. But they do have a Western River Railroad, which is kind of like the railroad that we have over here, but it doesn't go around the park. It just goes around Adventureland, around there. And another thing that they have different over there is the Enchanted Tiki Room. Completely different, because guess who invaded the Tiki Room?
Do tell.
Stitch. And I don't know about you guys, I love Stitch. I personally think he's adorable. He's one of my favorite characters.
I love the movie. I hate the ride.
You hate the ride?
The attraction?
I kind of actually agree
miserable.
with you. All right. But that's okay. Chili dog smell is totally a good idea.
That was sarcastic.
But
based on the movie, that fits with the theme, though. The Hawaiian Polynesian theme of the Tiki Room with Stitch being there. Yeah, I get that. I like the traditional, but I get it. Yeah.
Right, and that was a recent update. I guess to include Stitch to get more people to come to the Enchanted Tiki Room. Maybe it wasn't doing so well, so they spice it up. But I would actually like to see that because I think. I just love Stitch.
I would see how that would be maybe a little bit more well received over there, whereas here we all have the sentimental value of the Tiki Room as it is. That wouldn't be the case over in Japan, so they have probably a little bit more freedom to do something new.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And actually, one of the things I forgot to mention earlier is that Disney does not own the land that the park is built on. That is from the Oriental Land Company, and that what they do is they have an agreement with Disney to use the images and the rights of the rides and the characters and stuff like that on their property, and in return, there's royalties and benefits that they share together. So it's a really nice, friendly partnership. And in exchange, the Oriental Land Company has almost no budget or unlimited budget, so they can do almost whatever they want with their rides, updates, their shows. So a lot of things are going to look fantastic. Over here we might have a limited budget. We might not be able to, we have to cut back on certain things. And my friend loves to talk about all the time how Dinosaur had a budget cut. And so there's a lot of portions of the ride where it's just completely dark.
Oh.
It's because there's nothing there.
It's just a horrible ride.
I love it. I still like the ride. I remember it scared me when I was a kid. But so almost nothing is skipped. No corners are really cut over in Tokyo Disneyland. And I think that is something that if you are a first timer, you've never been there before, and if you're looking for that excitement, go there, because it is a new layout. It is the same kind of park, but it's different. So, I mean, again, similarities, differences, there's just too much and too little, I guess.
Similar enough for us to feel familiar and comfortable and enjoy it, but distinct enough to make it worth a trip going out.
Definitely.
You've talked about the differences of the rides, the differences of the layouts. What about the characters? Are they all the American Disney characters, or do we have some maybe distinct Japanese characters that can be found over there?
Well, actually, I will say a lot of the face characters like Peter Pan or stuff like that, most of them are actually American or speak English, English face characters.
Maybe they do a program like we have here, like with Epcot. They come over for 1 year visa.
Yeah.
I wonder
so.
if that's what
International student program.
Actually, there's a picture of me where it's of me and my friend Jennifer at Tokyo DisneySea. We're with Ariel.
She's not Japanese.
She's not Japanese. She speaks, I don't know if you can see it. There it is.
She's fish.
She is a fish. She swam all the way from Magic Kingdom all the way to DisneySea, so that way she can meet her Japanese friends. And I'm pretty sure they all know at least some form of basic Japanese in order to communicate. And so that's all you really need. Again, a lot of Japanese people know enough English to be able to talk. And that's one of the things I will encourage, that if you are afraid about the language barrier, don't feel so bad. As long as you have enough of the basics, you can even just whip out that translation book. As long as you're trying, they will gladly help.
Yeah.
They love it. If anything, whenever I meet a Japanese guest in the park and I say something in Japanese, they're always so surprised and excited.
Yeah.
And they'll probably do the same thing for you over there. So that's one of my big things.
What about the food? Is it traditional American theme park food, or is it Japanese?
I will say it's a mixture of both. I mean, I'm sorry for saying that, but there are enough differences. For example, because Japan is an island, so fish and seafood are going to be their main deal. They do have burgers. They do have stuff like that. They got plenty of French fries and things. That picture. Okay. There's actually this one stand that sells a very specific Japanese cuisine. I can't remember it for the love of me, but people would wait hours in this line for this one food. I can't remember what it is. I wish I remembered it.
The Dole Whip.
Yeah, it's the Dole Whip of
Japan.
Japan. And stuff. Oh, okay. Thank you very much for reminding me. Popcorn. That's one of the big things of Japan, or of Disney, right? You walk in, you smell that popcorn. It takes you to the cinema kind of movie. You're going into another world. In Japan, they have different flavored popcorn for different areas of the park, and I actually have a list somewhere.
Like sriracha flavored popcorn.
Sriracha, I think that maybe it's possible. I know there was caramel for one of them, black pepper I think was one of them. So it's just, if you go into the different areas, you can find so many different flavors of popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun. And the souvenir buckets are really nice. They're themed kind of like their park tickets. They're themed for a certain occasion, stuff like that. It's not just like a year-round thing. They have also, I'm pretty sure they still have it, this deal where if you bring it back, you get a discount, obviously, on the refill. And do we do that here? I never bought one, so I never.
I don't buy them either. I buy the paper cups.
Oh, okay. I see a lot of kids have it, so I mean, it's selling. But a lot of unique food, and if you go into DisneySea, especially, I know that there's a lot of really fancy restaurants there that sell totally unique food items there, and I wish I had all the information in my head. But honestly, just check out some more of the blogs, or if you want to check out the menu items online, I could probably try to provide that for you guys later. And it's definitely worth, if you have been to Disney World a lot, you tried everything, definitely an incentive to go to these new parks.
There's something different there for you.
There
What
is.
about the technology of the rides? For example, if they have the Carousel of Progress, just like we do, but because it came so much later, did they take the trouble to change the technology of the ride system? I know you had mentioned something about the Winnie the Pooh ride being a little bit different.
Yes.
Is this kind of an underlying theme, or?
I wouldn't say underlying theme, because a lot of the rides are kind of, I want to say, exact copies or duplicates on the inside. It really depends. But when Winnie the Pooh first came out, it was totally unique because it was trackless. The one that we have here, you hop aboard the honey pot and you go around, up and down, and you're kind of just you and your family. But in this one, you're with a group of people in your own honey pots, and so you're moving around, spinning around this trackless ride system, and that was really insane to be able to see how fast, kind of like how Tower of Terror, you know, you're moving forward on this track, or Great Movie Ride, you don't have a track, but you're spinning around pretty fast. Not too fast, obviously, but it's just a really good, really great difference to the ride that not that many people get to see. I remember when Tigger's bouncing around on this one segment, we all stop and we're staring at this screen that has Tigger on it, and he's jumping up and down, and we're all jumping up and down. And I was wondering, how are they doing this? This is witchcraft. I don't understand. So I think some of the rides that I haven't been on the Monsters Inc. ride, or a lot of the stuff is lost in memory, but most of them are the same. Some of them are different.
What about the crowd levels? Does it get as bad as it gets here?
I want to say no. I want to say that whenever I went, it was a pretty decent amount of people. It wasn't too crowded. I remember at least having breathing room, and now if you come over here, I have to worry about running into some kid or a stroller, someone on an ECV. That's another thing I can say. I don't see any ECVs over there.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, scoliosis and stuff like that is prominent over there in Japan. If you see a lot of the elderly have have back problems or stuff like that. That is almost, I don't want to say stereotypical, but very common. Yet you don't see a lot of them on ECVs, or you might see some wheelchairs every once in a while. So that is one major difference that I notice, is that there's a lot more people up and walking around. A lot of clear pathways.
Size-wise, is it like Magic Kingdom or Disneyland?
If we're including both of the parks, I'd say it's about the same size.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit smaller, but again, I don't know how the outer rings, backstage only areas.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they expand, but I will say.
You mean you didn't go on like a helicopter tour and get an aerial view?
I would love that. I would definitely love that. Or if anything, they do have a monorail.
Oh.
They have a monorail that goes between two of the different resort areas and the two theme parks. So it goes from one of the major ones to Tokyo Disneyland, to the 6 on the corner. There's like 6 of them off to the side, and then goes back around to Tokyo DisneySea and does the trip all over again.
So DisneySea is fairly close to Disneyland.
Oh, they're neighbors.
It's like California Adventure and Disneyland.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Just like that. They're right next to each other, so you don't even have to go very far.
What about the resorts? What are their names? Do you know, and how they're themed?
Yeah, I do have. I don't know about all of them, unfortunately, but I do have some of the names of the resorts right here. Like the Ambassador, which is this Art Deco luxury with a Disney twist to it. And that one, if I was going to go back there, I would stay at either that one or this other one, which is called Miracosta, which is actually inside Tokyo DisneySea.
Whoa.
Oh, cool.
They have a resort in the park.
That's
In
cool.
the park, yes. So guests can stay overnight at the park, and I would either want to do that or the one I mentioned,
Yeah.
the Ambassador.
It's kind of fancy. The only place you can do that here is if you win a night in the Cinderella.
You need to be a pop
castle
star or a celebrity
cruise.
of some sort to do that.
I should have been born. I should have been Katy Perry.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about shows.
Oh, yes.
Like, are they different? Do they have this, obviously, I'm hoping there are some that are a little more Japanese themed and not just, the same shows we have here.
She wants to see some Harajuku girls.
Harajuku, yeah.
You say that.
Close enough. Yes. A lot of the shows like Main Street Electrical Parade, they will have actually specific floats. I remember I was watching a video recently, and they have a genie float that Genie would change color, and he would be a dog or be another Disney character and stuff like that. And at some point he starts getting his magic mixed up, and he starts transforming into all of them at once, and it's just things that you don't see here, just small additions, stuff like that will be scattered throughout the park. Specifically Japanese theme shows, yes, they do have different types of celebrations to celebrate, summer, New Year's and stuff like that. So I didn't get to see a lot of the shows over there because I was more, as a kid, interested in the rides.
Yep.
But, I would see the shows I was, in passing and stuff like that. And I remember this one summer we had this beach party that, again, that summer I went 3 times. I saw that show 3 times because it's just, it was really fun. And they had these gigantic beach balls that the crowd would play and, like, toss back around. So that was really cool. But they do celebrate a lot of the Japanese festivals over there. And another thing I want to mention is that when the Japanese locals go to Tokyo Disneyland, Tokyo DisneySea, they're not all wearing the same color T-shirts, shorts, and socks and sandals. They're dressed up. They're if not at least a form of like Japanese fancy casual, I guess that's the word I'm going to say. There's this Japanese
business casual?
style.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't want to say business casual, but like people show up there in suits. It's not a lot because
that wouldn't be casual at all.
no, it would not be so, but there are
Just business.
Yeah, but there are a few that they're not cast members. They just show up in these suits, and like I remember. This
It's more
guy
like
sitting next to me.
like a fancy trip. I mean, like almost like going on a fancy cruise.
It's
or
a
something.
special occasion. I mean, like, not to say that Magic Kingdom isn't a special occasion, but
It's Office Manager Day in Tokyo Disneyland.
it focuses more on we have family, right? That's one of the big things, making magic and memories with the whole family. And over there, it's more of I want to say like a fun dating opportunity, if anything like that. Yes, families go, and it's a special treat, but I see a lot of couples there.
Cute.
And I remember there a bunch of schoolgirls, in Japan they have school uniforms, right? They're all the same kind of look. They all have to, wear it the same way. And so you can see a lot of them in the park. So they just got off of school and they're spending the day together in the park. I want to say they don't have any of those like really. I can't understand why these people buy these Mickey Mouse shirts where he's like really buff on the front. I've seen those so many times, or like really obscure third party, almost defaming these Disney characters, these beloved icons. I don't understand why people do that here. But over there, if they do wear anything Disney related, it's usually very poppy and cultural instead of kind of low taste, I guess is what I want to say. So it's a more higher taste of quality. If you're going to dress up in the park, definitely, if you ever go there, you can, if you want, wear the same color shirt to help identify yourself. So you can say, oh, they're wearing an orange shirt. If a parent is lost in the park and the kid finds a friendly cast member. Actually, that's another thing I would like to talk about.
Yes, let's talk about the cast members.
I have such a love and distinction for our Japanese cast members. They're always so friendly, and I can't think of a single time where I've been on a ride and not one of them at least waved at me, and smiled, and say "Itarashai," as I go onto the ride.
What would that mean?
Oh, it's like
Eating outside, I think is what he said.
Get the heck out of this vehicle.
No, it's like kind of like a bon voyage, or like have a good journey kind of a thing. And so that's another thing. Japanese culture is that they're very proper. They take all of their jobs very seriously. So no job is too little or too big. And I know that we try to have an emphasis of that here also at Magic Kingdom. Trying to like, for example, we have our cast member Hall of Fame and stuff like that. And I want to say that almost every single one of them deserves a spot. I know that's a big statement. That's a very bold statement. Every time. Go ahead.
For us traveling from America, if we were doing this, is there a better time of year to visit there? Not American time, but Japanese time? Is it better
time.
Weather-wise or crowd-wise or anything like that?
I would definitely say avoid the summer. I know that we like to go, and a lot of people like to go in the summer. If anything, the best time for me personally is during the winter time, because Haunted Mansion over in Tokyo Disneyland does this whole refurbishment where what they do at Disneyland in California, the Haunted Mansion,
the
The Nightmare Before Christmas overlay.
And that's really cool to see.
It is really cool. And if being able to, if you don't get that here at Walt Disney World, definitely go over there to see that. I love that. Haunted Mansion, obviously one of everyone's favorite rides, and Nightmare Before Christmas is one of my favorite movies. And so seeing Jack Skellington, larger than life, on that ride. And wow, it's amazing.
So they celebrate Christmas over there. Are there other like maybe distinct Japanese holidays that they, you know,
Celebrate.
latch onto? You know, we've got our Halloween over here. Are there Japanese holidays that they do events for?
I mean, Christmas and Halloween definitely are also celebrated there.
What would be the difference between Tokyo Disneyland and Disneyland Sea?
Okay, so they're right next to each other. Obviously, I already mentioned that before. But one of the things is this is a completely different park. Nowhere else do we have a park like this. It's well-themed, well-designed, and well-funded. And it shows.
What is the theme? Sea, I guess.
Is that a photo behind you of
Yes.
DisneySea?
Yeah, so that's one of the segments of, Ariel has her own like area in this King Triton's basically the kingdom. And so this is actually the edifice for what's inside.
Cool.
And inside it's like an indoor theme park. It's a lot more of like the kid rides and stuff like that. I think we have a picture of it somewhere. But like teacups kind of ish, rides where the things spin around and you float up and down in this wonderful kind of sea under the sea world. Because DisneySea is nautical themed.
Love it.
So
And yet it's not a water park.
it's not a water park. No, not at all.
It's
But
a waterless water park.
Hey, well, I mean, they have like misters and stuff like that. So there's water. There's plenty of water. Oh,
But not what you think of like not water attractions.
right.
Don't
You're
swim
not.
in it,
It's not
generally.
Typhoon Lagoon. You're not
Please avoid all no.
all natural and man-made bodies
all
of water.
natural and man-made.
Actually, so when you go into DisneySea, once you go in there, there's this first port is actually called the Mediterranean Harbor, and it's this huge circle. And actually, they do a lot of their shows in that harbor. So you know how we have illuminations at night where all the the globe comes out and we do all that stuff. They actually have boats and all these different props floating in the water. And I know like a lot of the boats will come around splashing people. So I guess, yeah, kind of a little bit like that. But like they have a summer water festival or summer fun festival where the characters come off of the boats and they'll go up to you and they've got like little water guns, start spraying everyone. It's a really fun time. They got buckets to splash.
Are they Japanese characters or they're Disney characters?
Well, Disney characters. So Mickey Mouse,
Okay.
who also now speaks Japanese,
Oh, cool.
will come off of the boat. And actually, that's another thing is that, all these characters are going to speak Japanese. But actually, a lot of the music that you hear in the background will be sung in English. So that's kind of fun. The music is very catchy. But, if Mickey Mouse, is trying to tell everyone, like, hey, everybody, he's going to say it in Japanese because he's got a Japanese audience. I'm skipping ahead because we don't have a lot of time, but they have Fantasmic at Tokyo DisneySea. And even though Fantasmic is one of my favorite shows, I grew up with it, in California when I went to Disneyland, and over here, the show is great. But over there, it is phenomenal. They have so much more pyrotechnics. They have all these fun little things where Mickey Mouse is standing on this tower in the middle of the harbor, and there's things going off, music everywhere. It's definitely I want to say a higher quality show. Not to say that I don't love this one because I love ours, but that one just takes the cake. And I'm going to go through this really quickly. The other harbors, the American waterfront, where you can find the Tower of Terror, which is actually very unique because our Tower of Terror is themed after the Twilight Zone, right? With Rod, and he's talking about going up and down on 1939 amid the glitz and the glitter of a bustling young Hollywood talent. The story is way different. What happens is that this guy, Mr. Hightower, who actually owns the hotel, he's like a big time game hunter, and he goes throughout all the world collecting different icons and things like that. And he stole this particular icon, this one icon, which is like this tiki statue. And what happened is that he defaced it, or he did something very bad to it. Like I think he put a cigar in it, talking about how he doesn't believe in the curse because curses aren't real. And so when he got onto the elevator went all the way up. Tiki curse activated, and the elevator goes all the way down, crashing. And I think I have a picture actually of the elevator. It's really well designed. I got this really nice creak almost.
They totally ripped off the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Curse of the Tiki.
No.
Come on.
And so, but when the elevator was, when they opened up the elevator that was completely destroyed, Mr. Hightower was gone, disappeared. We don't know where. I would like to say the Twilight Zone. But they did find the tiki statue. And so you walk in, and the Japanese hostess is talking about the ride in Japanese. So if you don't know, sorry. But they convey it pretty well. Conveyance is a pretty common thing in any of the rides that you have. Even if you don't know exactly what they're saying, how they articulate it, how they're feeling is going to convey very well. Especially for kids, they're just going to eat it up no matter what. And so the tiki statue comes alive, and you go onto the elevator, and it takes you on the Tower of Terror journey. And so that's, I thought that was kind of unique. And if you are a Tower of Terror fan, definitely check that out. That's one of the big things I love about that. Also, there's a ship called the SS Columbia, which is housed right next to Tower of Terror. And you go in, there's actually a restaurant. And it's also the backdrop for a bunch of stage shows that they have right there next to the ship. It's a very iconic part of the park. And Turtle Talk, which you have over at Epcot, is actually located here in the ship. And so it might not necessarily be a fun time if you only speak English, because a lot of the jokes are going to be in Japanese. But I'm sure that's not going to take it out of the fun. If you go there, and if you want to come up there, I'm sure they would have a good time talking with American or English guests.
Making fun of us.
Yeah, probably. No, they're very friendly. They'd be very polite. And then the next one, I would like the Lost River Delta. That's where the Indiana Jones ride is. And so my mom swears that it's so much more tame than the ones that we have like in California.
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy it. It's a little too jerky.
It's too jerky for you? Okay, then I think then this one would be perfect for you. She says it's a way smoother and less scary than the one in California. So if you do have kids that are afraid or too timid, maybe you could tell them what I just said, and they might be more willing to go on the ride. I know that they have some videos of I want to say, he looks like a Wookiee to me, but this giant monkey crawling around on the outer of this gigantic this thing right here, or maybe not this one, but on the show building, stuff like that. So that's just another layer of Disney, bringing you into this world of you're in this other part of the country of South America. And then the next one I'm going to talk about is the Arabian Coast. And that it has also a very unique ride, The Adventures of Sinbad, which is kind of like It's a Small World for us. It's a boat ride and stuff like that, but it's got a totally unique story that tells about the adventures of Sinbad from 101 or 1001 Arabian Nights.
That sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah.
It is really awesome. It's very well done, and a bunch of hidden Mickeys. That's another thing I want to talk about. Hidden Mickeys galore all over this park.
Wow.
So if you are one of those guests that has a yellow handbook, I see them all the time. Definitely, it's quite an adventure to be able to run around and try to find those things over there.
You keep mentioning ships. Is that the equivalent of a land? You're saying there's a different ship here and a different ship there?
No, they don't have different ships. There's the SS Columbia, which is just like a part of the American...
He's been saying port.
Ports, yeah, the different ports. Ports of call.
Ships.
The ports of
Whatever.
call. And
I just need to go back to
either
that.
one, that's okay. But they do have, because it is nautical themed, so they do have a bunch of ships, and it's very wonderfully. Again, I keep talking about budget and theming, but it's so amazing what they did with this park. The mountain. I'm just going to skip ahead to this mountain that's part of the ride called Journey to the Center of the Earth. Mm-hmm. And it is one of my favorites because you go on it. It's not very long. You go around and you're digging through this tunnel and you're just exploring. You see all these very unique, wonderful creatures, the AA or animatronics we're talking about, but these wonderful little things. And then you go deeper and deeper into the center of the earth until you discover, I'm not going to say it because it's my favorite part and I want you guys to be surprised, but this really awesome animatronic, and it is one of my favorites, and it jets you out to the side. But this mountain...
Is it Brendan Fraser? Because please go ahead and spoil that for me.
It's not Brendan Fraser? No, it's not Brendan.
Does his wings blow off?
No, but it's big and it's ginormous.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
I love it. No, it's kid. I will say it might be a little bit scary for kids, but it's just wonderful. It's one of my favorites, and it jets you out, and you can see a bit of the park, but you're going way too fast to really see it. But you can see outside, outside of the ride, these things just jetting down from the top of the volcano. This volcano is rock. It is solid rock. It is not plaster. It is not.
It's a real
plastic.
rock.
So they
It's
took something
real.
that was existing and built
Well,
the ride around
they
it.
built it. Yes. Well, then it wasn't existing. They built this mountain
With real rock.
with
Okay,
real rock.
Gotcha.
So it's honestly, I can't express how
Holy
much I
cow,
love this
that's
park.
impressive.
You're not the only person I know that's been there. I have a girlfriend who's been several times over
Yeah.
the last 5 years. She had a brother stationed at one of those. I don't know whether he's
Atsugi,
Army or whatever.
Sagamihara,
So
I could just name them all.
So she's been several times, and she raves about DisneySea. She likes this Tokyo Disneyland, but DisneySea she talks about nonstop, and her photos are incredible.
They're wonderful. I'm glad that your friend got to go. She should bring you next time. Why not?
Well,
Right?
The level of ornate detail is what captures me when I look at the photos of any of this park at all.
Yeah.
It's just it looks like a little bit of, it's just so ornate.
Looks like Disney.
H.G. Wells, you know.
yeah, they did a really great job.
This is actually kind of sort of themed after. They have another ride called 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, right? Based off of the
Please
Jules
tell me
Verne.
you don't run a submarine.
You do.
Oh no, I
You
don't
ride a
like
submarine.
those.
You don't.
No sardine cans.
I rode on Nemo. No, I wanted to scratch my way out. It was horrible.
Really? Okay. Well then.
Very claustrophobic, yeah.
It's one of my favorite rides.
If
I
you're
was
like
sad
her.
when it left the Magic Kingdom. I mean, not Nemo, but 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Oh.
Yeah, and so this one, I don't know if the story was different, but you go in and you're traveling underneath the waters, and you get to see some very bizarre, strange creatures. I won't say mermaids or mermans, but
with
they
teeth.
very creepy.
Saw his face.
Yeah, I know. What was that?
But no, it's a more of a, I want to say, a scarier ride, especially like the Finding Seas with Nemo, or the one that they have at California where you're in the yellow submarine.
Yeah.
It's kind of more friendly. You see Darla.
That's the one I was afraid of.
That's the one you're afraid of. Okay, all right.
So here's a question before we wrap this up. If somebody's going to be planning a trip out there to see the Disney parks in Japan, about how many days do you need to see these parks? Are they 2-day parks, 1-day parks? I know they're right next to each other, apparently, like California Adventure and Disneyland, but the size of these parks, what amount of time is required to fully see each one?
Okay, I can definitely say, just my personal experience, you only need 1 day for each park. They do offer, I'm pretty sure, 3-day passes and stuff like that. If you want to, go for it. If you didn't have enough time to visit all that you wanted in one park and then you want to go back and try to see if you can catch it again, do that. But honestly, 1 day per park is all you need. I would definitely spend 1 day at Tokyo Disneyland watching the shows, going on rides, just to see if they are different or not, different quality. Enjoy that food, the atmosphere. So, because it's super nostalgic for me. I really wish I can go back right now.
We need to
just
send this
thinking
boy
about
back.
it. Oh, please. And then DisneySea. That is, if anything, spend 2 days there because it's so wonderful and big.
Unique.
And very unique. That's the thing, is that you're gonna love that park. I can guarantee it. If you go there, you're gonna just wish that you never leave. Especially if you want to stay at the Miracosta and spend one night in the park, and then just go back out and do what you want.
But are you allowed to roam around at 3 a.m.?
No, I don't think
Yeah,
you are.
I
No,
wouldn't
you're
think so.
confined within the hotel.
Okay.
But I mean, you could still see the volcano. You can still see everything, depending on where your room is. So just having that backdrop to be able to do that, I think, is worth the experience, and I kind of want to do that. The shows, the cast members, and I want to say one more thing before we wrap this up.
Sure.
I've been YouTubing a lot of these things, and I've been feeling so nostalgic of what I've been missing out on. There's this one custodial cast member, or Mr. Cast member, that he goes around in this with his trash can and stuff like that, but he doesn't talk. And what he does is that he interacts with guests by playing these sound effects with them. And if you want to look it up, it's I think Mr. Cast Member, or Hashimoto is one of their names, Hashimoto. If you want to YouTube that, he just does all these weird, wacky, fun things. And a lot of them, I know it's other cast members that do it too, but he's the one I've been kind of following. There you go, you got one more fan. And that kind of stuff, we have that here, especially like at Hollywood Studios. I notice it a lot, where we have, all the people coming out and they're themed after this era. And I had one guy come up to me and say that I look like Clay Aiken, because he kept referencing hey, I voted for you, in that second season, And I knew because I watched that season that he was talking
Thank
about
you.
Clay Aiken. So thank you. I guess I look like Clay Aiken. So thank you if you're watching. And so, but sense of humor there. You know, a lot of these shows, you know, will pertain to kids and adults alike. But any of these one-on-one interactions are going to be very Japanese comedy, kind of slapstickish. You know, if he'll guest interaction, he'll invite guests up to do certain acts. Like he gave this kid the feather duster, and he would feather dust the thing, and the sound effect will play with, and you just sit there and watch and clap. Everyone else is laughing. This older lady came down, and he would make him do like certain poses to start the sound effects, and you know, that kind of thing. I don't know if American guests would do that, if that kind of guest interaction, you know, because when Mickey Mouse here at Magic Kingdom says, "Dreams come true, dreams come true," who actually says dreams come true?
I do.
I do.
I do. Okay, good. I don't see other people doing
But
it,
I also
though.
have children, so, you know, like, I encourage
You're trying to
them
rally
say it.
them,
Yeah.
right?
Right. I want to say that, especially the kids, it's a lot of the culture. You know, they have Japanese superheroes in these shows. I'm just talking about this now, where they would ask the kids to chant for their superhero to, you know, send them out or to give them a power boost to defeat the enemy and stuff like that. So that's very common and it's almost expected. So if you go to these shows, audience participation is a huge thing, and you're going to hear a lot of kids screaming back and yelling, things like that.
Wow.
So it's definitely fun. And
you said we can YouTube some of this. Mr. What is it again? Hashimoto?
Hashimoto, if you want.
Or Mr. Cast Member?
Mr. Cast Member, or Tokyo DisneySea Custodial. If you look up those key phrases.
Or the guy from Police Academy.
Yeah,
What he's
that's
doing
all
now.
I've been thinking.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Obsessed with those
That's what
movies.
happened to him.
I remember because he does this whole bit about like how he's trying to not be the focus of attention. So he just wants to do his cleaning duties, and then people keep following him around because
Yeah.
they know he's going to do this. And he has some really cool magic tricks. I know he does that. Like
That's fun.
he'll go up and he'll start wiping down on one of the railings and stuff like that, and then he'll move the cloth up and he's wiping just the air. And people, you know, Japanese guests are, oh, you're going to hear that a lot.
And
That's
that
just-
wiping the air trick gets me every time.
Or like he'll be wiping like one of the poles, like just like this light post, and then it'll stay there. He'll keep his hands off it to go take care of something really quickly, and the guests are just so amazed. It's magic, and I love it.
Well, so
And-
we all have a little bit of homework from this week's show. We can go to YouTube and look up some of that. And thank you so much for sharing your experiences with
No problem.
Tokyo so we can compare it to what we have here. Definitely sounds like a vacation worthwhile if we're able to get there.
Definitely worthwhile if you can. And not only DisneySea, if you want to go explore Tokyo, it's a wonderful place, wonderful country with great culture, super wonderful people. So please do, if you ever get the chance, jump on it.
All right. Well, that's going to do it this week for our show. We hope that you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next time with another edition of the Dis Unplugged. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And please remember, for your own personal safety, please avoid all natural bodies of water.